Hello everybody, I just want to use this video clip to show you guys the requirements about the final project for 42773. The purpose for this project is for you guys to really use the knowledge that you have learned from CV 4273 to basically perform all the analysis required for this final project. That could include early estimating, work breakdown structure development, critical path, CPM schedule, cost distribution, resource allocation, and also the project tracking, which is the earned value system that we're going to talk about in our later lectures. So I believe at this point you guys may have already read the description, basically the scope of the work for the base project, as this has described in this scenario. The base project is built in Oklahoma City with an acreage of 100 acres, and it also has a size for building A and B, and the C is not actually in the scope of this project. And there are also some other special equipment like overhead crane, elevator, and some other stuff that need to be procured. In terms of the information for the base project, Table 1 is approved project budget. Basically, those are different cost items, the budget for the base project. It also has the contingency. This is the total approved budget for the project that is built in Oklahoma City. Then for the project 2, for the table 2, those are the activities or the project activities for the project, and it has the different information, the activity description, activity number, duration. This is the proposed cost, the logical relationships between the activities, the required workers for each task, and the percentage complete as of October 31st, 21st, which is the information required for project earned value system analysis, as well as the actual cost as of October 31st, 2020. That's also going to be used for your earned value system analysis. We're going to talk about those things later. First, let me go through the requirements for the project. First, give your team an awesome name and explain the meaning of the name and how you come up with this name. So for some of those students, if you already have a group name and you would like to stick with the original group name that you created, just feel free to use that group name. But for those students, if you are still using a generic lab group with a number, then in that case you need to develop a meaningful name and also present to the class and how you come up with this name, the special meaning of your group name. The second part is for early estimate, which is the cost adjustment for similar type of projects. So in this requirement, we basically have two proposed projects in two different locations. One is in Dallas and the other one is St. Louis, Missouri. And it also has different size requirements for building A and building B, and also the site acreage are different as well. So from the information we can see what kind of cost adjustments are needed for this requirement. Obviously, we can see we need a time adjustment because we stated the project is going to be built 4 years from now for the Dallas site and 5 years from now for the St. Louis site. So you have to perform the time adjustment. And since the location is different than Oklahoma City, we have to perform location adjustment as well. And the size for different buildings and the sites are all different, so we have to perform size adjustments for the different cost items. Some students may wonder what kind of a size adjustment we have to make. Since we have different buildings, you can use size adjustments for different cost items. For example, if the cost items are related to sites, maybe you can adjust the size just for the site category, and later on, if you try to perform the size adjustment for building A related to cost items, you can use this building A's square footage, etc. And in table 1, you can also see there's some items, for example, like project management. Project management oftentimes are calculated based on percentage. Maybe you can first estimate how much percentage of what is percentage of the project management cost versus the overall project budget. You can use a similar percentage for the other proposed project cost estimate. For contingency, the same thing. Oftentimes people just use the percent of the total directs to get the estimate for the contingency. Basically, total directs times a percentage get the contingency. Obviously, for this part of the analysis, every people will have different approach. As long as you can come up with a reasonable assumption and a reasonable process, I think I'm not going to be too picky about your numbers. As long as you are able to explain it well enough, then I will accept. For requirement 3, develop proper work period instruction in a way that you envision how the project should be managed. And I said you can use this table as a reference. A lot of students always thought we actually have to exactly use this kind of headings, subheadings to create your work burden structure. And some other students try to match the numbers for the big headings. Obviously, you don't have to do that. This is just a way to help you to come up with your work burden structure. You don't have to use exact same type of headings. You can always create some additional headings you think that would make sense to you. Just feel free to use that. This is just a template for you to use. You don't have to stick with it, because for your project it involves different phases. For example, design, procurement, and construction. Some students would like to split this into those 3 phases and then continue to branch underneath those different phases. It's okay to do that. Then for requirement 4, you need to construct a precedence network diagram. For this requirement, I want you guys to develop your network diagram and Gantt chart in MS Project. So this is a requirement very similar to one of our lab assignment. But at the same time, I want you guys to include your work burden structure in the CPM schedule that you can develop in MS Project. So hopefully everybody still remembers how to create a work burden structure in Microsoft Project. And we're going to use the standard calendar, basically Monday to Friday as working days. And the project start date is going to be November 2nd, 2020. For requirement 4, we're going to develop the requirement 5. We're going to develop the histogram of weekly cost for a project based on the early start and the late start schedule. That is the bar chart. Right? One is for the based on the early schedule. The other one is based on the late schedule, and those are going to be the bar chart. Then requirement 4 is basically related to 5, and I want you guys to develop the cumulative weekly cost and make sure this is the weekly cost, not daily cost, which is slightly different than one of the lab assignment we did. And for this requirement, I want you guys to include both the early start, early schedule, late schedule, and target schedules for all of those 3 weekly cost curves. Definitely you can perform this in the Microsoft project, but you cannot really create the weekly cost for the late schedule directly from MS Project. I believe you guys have already done the lab similar to this one. You guys should be able to figure that out on your own.